Do you feel stuck creatively? And with that, maybe feel frustrated, uninspired, or you find yourself procrastinating a lot in different areas of your life? Creativity is difficult to describe and express with words. I believe it's more of a felt experience. But we are going to try to describe creativity and maybe demystify it a little bit. I do accept that it is kind of a mysterious thing, but again, we're going to try to make it a little more clear and understandable. The main thing that I want to communicate in this video is that creativity responds to conditions, and conditions are things that we can influence and change. To begin with, I'd like to talk about two perspectives on creativity. These are interrelated as well as things that I believe in. In my process of sort of rethinking creativity, I needed to add on to these perspectives, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the downfalls or the downsides of these two, and we'll start with the inspiration model or the system, which looks at creativity as kind of based on inspiration, which is this greater thing outside of us, and it is fleeting, inconsistent, right? And so we end up waiting. And in that process of waiting, guilt, frustration, and other negative emotions can sort of take over. The second and related perspective or system is the conduit or channeling method or model. In this sense, we look at creativity as kind of like this thing that's outside of us, as kind of this energy, and then it passes through us, with us being the vessel or the conduit. And in that process of it moving through us, we shape it and export it as in a different form, still containing the essence of that original thing that was outside of us. As a filter or a vessel, even though we play an important role in the shaping of that new product that emerges, we can still feel kind of passive in the process and not really in control. To give you some personal context, I, for many years, pursued music, and at one time just felt uninspired and burned out. So I quit, and I wish I didn't quit. I wish I hadn't quit. Because when I regained my kind of creative bearings and got back into music in addition to other mediums, I basically came to an understanding that expressing myself creatively was integral to my identity. And for those many years that I wasn't creating and I wasn't doing the thing that I love to do, there was kind of like this backwater that developed and began sort of like growing within me, a very negative kind of thing, sort of like a negative fog that was just getting thicker and expanding, which included the emotions of like anger, like I mentioned before, doubt, procrastination, and this feeling of just being disconnected from myself and who I was, being disconnected from my identity. As I emerged from this fog and started creating again, I started to see how my external conditions affected my internal landscape or my feelings, which then would lead to the creative product. And so this is not anything new. It is a kind of an extension or another way of looking at the other two models, which is, the inspiration and the conduit model. But yes, it is more about changing conditions which leads to changing creativity or adjusting the landscape or adjusting your context. Instead of waiting for a mood, you are creating a mood within yourself. Some of the practical things that this involves is basically something as simple as moving things around within your workspace where you do creative work, or just within your living space, moving around furniture, adjusting your daily schedule to, just experimenting, in terms of producing work in the morning versus late at night, or even in the afternoon when you have a little bit of time. The other thing is, if you are in one particular discipline, go to another discipline as kind of a hobby. So if you do sculpture, for example, pick up the guitar, and learn how to play the guitar. So all of these things really kind of this is not anything new, and all of these things help. And the popular belief in terms of how they help is that they kind of refresh your system. It gives you sort of a moment to reset. Change is good, right? In general, your curiosity is reawakened from making these changes. It helps you also, in terms of especially like picking up another discipline, kind of just for fun, a little bit every day. This kind of helps you get away from perfectionism in your main discipline and allows you to sort of explore and have fun with just kind of being creative. All of these things are very true. What I'm trying to say with how I kind of reoriented myself is what was important for me, and that little additional kind of twist in terms of how I looked at things was just looking at the changes having a direct effect on my internal landscape or how I felt. It kind of altered my mood or changed my mood. And yes, it also refreshed and helped me reset and allowed me to have more fun. Yes, but I started thinking more about the middle ground, or myself, in relationship to inspiration and the energy that is out there, outside of us, and still thinking about that and understanding that I am a conduit also, but again, sort of putting a little more emphasis on the middle ground, which is my internal landscape. A couple more things that are related to this kind of change in terms of how I approached my creative practice and creativity in general is that I started having very simple daily practice routines and focused more on doing over waiting. Some other things include creating without worrying about the outcome. And again, this is connected to kind of having more fun and being more loose and free with what I am creating. Be happy. I learned how to be happy with everything I produced. Trusting your first feelings and decisions and sort of like chaining those together, just moving forward with all of your first feelings and decisions. This was really essential and something that I find I'm doing all the time now when I am either working on writing a song, doing a drawing, or writing for my Substack articles or for my various books. I think related to this is that whatever it is that you're outputting, whatever it is that you're creating, is an honest reflection of the present moment, of what you're able to do in the present moment, who you are in the present moment, where you are not trying to be anything or anyone else, and just sort of come from that place of solitude or peace. It's not easy, but this is also something that can be done through meditation, practicing meditation. And I'm still a beginner at this as well. But again, looking at this kind of output or anything that you produce as being an honest reflection of who you are in the present moment. This is really essential. Although I struggle to this day with my creative practice, I feel like I've turned the corner and have really started experiencing a lot of optimism and joy around it. Some of the other emotions that I have is kind of a sense of relief, added confidence, more steadiness, optimism, focus, and motivation. If you notice that you're stuck and you feel blocked creatively, think about how you are thinking about creativity and your process. Maybe you believe in inspiration, or your kind of role as a conduit for energy, right? If you were like me, I kind of fell into this, and it's good. I think it's a good perspective. I think they're good perspectives, but I started changing it just a little bit, tweaking it just a little bit, and looking at myself as a really important sort of middle ground. Change one thing in your environment or your schedule, and start a small daily practice. The most important thing is that you do a little bit every day and keep on doing as opposed to thinking or procrastinating. So this is just a little bit of insight, hopefully, that you can take with you if you are experiencing creative block. Try different things, and I look forward to seeing you next time.